Okay, so here, coming in with Morgan, we always have to negotiate the gate. That's very important that horses know how to open and close gates properly. You notice that when I come in, I never, I never lose control of the gate. My hand touches the gate until it's latched. So that's a good way to come in through the gate. So I'm going to bring her in here to the center of the arena. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have lateral flexion. It's a very important exercise. I often forget this and I start to lose the lateral flexion quite often if I don't pay attention to it. So here I drop the reins and I don't use the reins and I turn my body, and the horse should turn uh, with my body and focus in the same direction that I'm focusing in. And here I go to the left and to the right. I look to the left and to the right. And just to test it out, I drop the reins completely and I can turn to the right pretty well. But what happens is that here I think about the right so much that she doesn't. She thinks to the right also. I'm thinking, oh, the right was really good. And even though I'm looking to the left, she still turns to the right. But now she's got it. And her and I are back on the same page. It's mostly because I start thinking too much to the right, and then she goes, well, you just thought about the right. So she's reading my mind and not my body, which is not always a good thing because my mind can go in different directions, but my body is really what she needs to pay attention to. So work on getting some major control over the hindquarters and make sure that she responds to the leg nicely before we begin the day's exercises. So we have to have some good turns to the left and good turns to the right. And here I start to practice. I'm adjusting my glasses there. But I should be able to guide this horse without any reins whatsoever. I don't know what the hell's the matter with my glasses. So the reins are not even in my hands. I just lay them across her neck and I turn to the left and to the right. And here I'm turning to the left. I'm doing figure eight patterns, and I should be able to do nice figure eight patterns without touching the reins, which I can do. So that's very nice. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to work on vertical flexion. So we start with the left and to the right, and the vertical flexion I'm going to, I need to adjust the saddle pad there. The saddle pad's slipping off to the right or left or something like that. Anyway, what I want to work on lateral flexion first and then move on directly into vertical flexion. So we go to the left and to the right. She seems to be pretty, I seem to be having to correct her a little bit when she turns to the left. So she was doing really good to the right, but to the left here, see, she's a little bit resistant. So it's not as soft as I like, so I actually give her a kick. And then I ask to the other side. The other side seems pretty good. This left side is a little stiff. So again, I gave her a swift kick in the side and start working her. And then I start asking for vertical flexion. And I'm getting the vertical flexion now as we move off in today's exercises. And today's exercise is all about getting a nice, smooth, comfortable, decent trot. So we're working mostly on the trots here. Again, I should not have to use the reins to get nice, good figure eights. I don't know what's going on here. I must be having rein management issues. Who knows? Who knows what I'm doing? I don't know what I'm doing either. Half the time I have no idea. I just get on the horse, and whatever the horse seems to need to work on, that's pretty much what we work on. All right, so let's take a look over here and see what we're doing. We're going to start working vertical flexion. So you notice how she's a little bit resistant there when we do the transition from the walk to the trot. That was not the smoothest transition. I'm not very happy with that. So let's work a little bit more in getting vertical flexion at the trot. We do a little bit of shoulder out here to soften her up. And then we're doing haunches out now. So we did some haunches out. I don't know what else here. And now we're going to start working on the collection at the trot. And as we start, we're looking for basically start to work the passage. Understand, everybody always looks at the front legs at the passage as being so beautiful and everything, and the legs just bounce up. But all movements come from the back legs. So I'm sitting here working and making sure that the back legs really gather up underneath the horse properly. Otherwise, we just have a weird headset and flailing front legs, and that's not what I'm looking for. So you can see how she starts to scoot the back legs up underneath her, and see there, that's again, she's trying to scoot them up. She's just kind of shoves them up underneath her, and then when she does that, we walk off. So we get a good little scooch here, a little bit of scooting the back legs up underneath the horse, and then we walk off. It's important not to go from the collected trot like this to just a regular trot. Those were very nice steps there. So she's actually really stepping up underneath her, and she's actually suspending her suspending the hind legs up in the air and replacing the hind leg. Normally what a horse does is it has a leg on the ground and it replaces the leg on the ground with the leg that's up in the air. What we're doing is we're reversing the process so that there's a leg that's up in the air, and she's going to replace the leg that's up in the air with the leg that's on the ground. So it's always kind of like I'm trying to keep a leg in the air rather than I'm trying to keep a leg on the ground. So I don't know if that made any sense. Just ignore that. Probably didn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, so here we go. We're still continuing on. You'll notice that the horse will turn a scooch. The head comes up, and then once she finally gets really collected, the head comes down, and then we walk off. Walking off is the sign to her that what was done was correct, that we did the right thing, and that we don't need to do more. And then I ask for another iteration. So here we go again, and the head comes up. That's not good. And then the head starts to come down, and we get a nice beautiful motion there with the legs coming in. And then tapped her, I think, a little bit too much with the whip there. So she kicked out. We just keep going. And then she has it. Oh, that's nice. So each time she does it, it's like 3 or 4 steps, 4 at the most, usually not more than that. Then we just walk off and just walk. It's important to keep the forward motion, to walk forward out of these. Do not trot out of these. Walk forward out of these, because then everything starts getting rushed, and she's rushing to that trot. So she's got to, in her mind, think that it's going to get even slower when she does it right. That the goal is to really kind of slow down and not make any make very little forward progress. Here she's doing okay, but the head's not good. So now she's stop trying to do the airs. She would much rather just do the levad, which is actually less complicated than this shit. But I don't want the levad to become an evasion. So here we go again. Too much trotting there. Back it up, back it back into the walk. These have to go from the walk to the trot and then back to the walk again. It must not go from trot to trot. It must go from walk and then very, very collected trot and then back to walk again. So we're going to do this quite a bit. Eventually, I hope I'll change the direction. And this looks very nice. Not bad at all. And you can see how she's very happy. The reins are very still. Everything's in a nice quiet frame. And everything is very much under control. We're looking at it's like the horse is very powerful, but it's very disciplined at the same time. So a lot of strength and reserve when we have this kind of movement, where the horse is truly athletic, utilizing the hindquarters, using the haunches, and really in tune with the rider. So here we go again. So we're continuing on, and looking pretty good. So here, I think we're doing a lot more trotting and we're starting to just work on the vertical flexion of the trot. We're not really trying to do the walk, because when you see me really trying to work that, you'll see a lot of walk, trot, walk, trot. And here we're just continuing with the trot. So at this point, I'm just basically working the horse, trying to get some basic flexion. And I think eventually the goal will be to have very, very collected, very nice, very quiet trot with the seat of the rider completely connected, total connection with the horse. And eventually, we're going to pick up the counter canter deliberately, but it's not going to be in this video. So we're just picking up the regular canter here, just to work on the canter transition, which looks pretty good. And she's just doing the regular canter, and it's all